we've heard that people will be in hammered with excessive discipline for showing up late, even transferred, right? And then recently, just last week, it came out that 3 sergeants and 2 detectives were transferred for, like you said, because they didn't show up to an all-out detail with their body-worn cameras.
The first time the guy goes to a detail, and now he or she's transferred. That to me is totally off the cuff, and it's totally unnecessary. You're the police commissioner of the city of New York, and you should evaluate each case separately and give the person their due. Let's not blanket these things and throw everybody into the guillotine and cut their heads off the first time. I mean, who are we, Henry VIII here? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into morale and everything else, and what the cause of the low morale, and what people really should be doing to try and get into increasing morale. But I agree. And then John at the end of today's show, when he was plugging our show for us, made a point that was very interesting, and things that make you go, right?
One thing I just want to bring up before we get out of here, Eric, is and for you, Ron and Rob too, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I really think that the insane discipline is not coming out from Jessica Tisch. I'm hearing that some of those transfers are going to be reversed. I think this is a plot and a ploy to unseat and undermine yet another police commissioner in the Adams administration. Because if you look back at when these transfers started, they started under Shell and Kaz. They started under Caban. That's when these ridiculous transfers all started. So I would not put it past a John Shell and Kaz Daughtry to harm good cops, piss everyone off, and then see it's her. You believe what she's doing? So I just, I don't want to throw your show off, and I'm not telling you what to say, but it's just what I'm seeing. I personally don't think that it's coming from the police commissioner. I think it's coming from the chief of department, because he was transferring people left and right when he was the chief of patrol for not saluting Kaz. So, NYPD, you guys got very short memories, and you don't care until it happens to you.
Yeah, he did.
It's something that I honestly, preparing for the show, hadn't put a lot of thought into. I did absolutely think about it, but I didn't put as much thought into it as after John's comment. And I should have banged to try to get a clip out of it, just to put it out there. But basically, in essence, what John said was, when we're talking tonight, let's take into consideration, he's not trying to guide the show and guide the conversation, but, listen, we're all a family, and we do discuss our topics with one another offline. He just happened to, it must have came into his mind when he was thinking about it, and put it out there during the show, knowing that we were both in the chat. And he said that don't put it all on Tisch as the police commissioner, because as they've been reporting, there's almost like a coup going on, right, within the department and City Hall to try and malign Commissioner Tisch, who, for all intents and purposes, I have to say, I think is doing as good a job as she can. I think she's up against a lot. I don't think that she's given free rein. I think that she has shown that she's going to stand her ground a little bit more, and definitely more than others in the past. You saw it in the press conference when she...
In that press conference, in my opinion, she was the only one that showed empathy and really looked like she cared.
I wasn't even talking about that one yet. In the press conference, where they were talking about the laws with the drones and the usage of drones and taking the drones down and having to have your federal partners are the only ones that can really do that we don't have the authority to do that. If we have to mitigate a drone threat in the NYPD, we don't have drone mitigation abilities. And it's something that they're looking to do, and they're working on with legislation. And so, of course, as soon as the word drone came up, Kaz tried to get to the podium And she basically, she said, no, Rebecca's going to take it. You know, Rebecca Wine, who's Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence, is going to take that because they've been working on the.
Was there proposed legislation in Congress on the drones?
I'm sorry?
Has legislation ever been proposed?
Yeah, Rebecca's got it. Okay. We worked on the legislation.
So yes, for a number.
On the legislation.
You know what Kaz needs? He needs that hat with the propeller on the top. And as soon as they say drones, it should activate, because that's what he was ready to fly in there, right?
Yeah, but she, you know what? She stood her ground as the police commissioner. This is my press conference, and I'm gonna, you know, you're the deputy mayor. Now, I don't know where deputy mayor in the pecking order stands over a commissioner. I'm not sure in the hierarchy if, you know, because technically the deputy mayor of public safety is not supposed to oversee the police department, even though it's obvious that he does. And then again, like you said, in the press conference Monday night, late Monday night, I agree. She was emotional. It was heartfelt. It was genuine. I agree with John and Eric's comments this morning that I have no issue with her reading off of a prepared statement, because she is reading out facts, and you want to make sure you get the facts out straight. And it's a highly stressful situation. It's late at night. She's been up all day. She has been involved with the case. She's done a walkthrough. It is psychologically damaging to walk through something or that type of carnage. And it's not something that she's used to, because she didn't come up in the department in a uniform capacity, right? So it had to affect her. And she handled herself well. And then you saw that he was trying to get her binder for some reason, and she handed it off, but then she saw him try to walk away with it or pass it off, and she made a point of getting it back. So, you know, I see that she's standing her ground more, but the point was that John Schell, when he was the chief of patrol, and Kaz Daughtry, when he was deputy commissioner in the chief of department's office, right? Or the assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner, he was both, right? And then they were transferring people from Queens to Staten Island because a lieutenant didn't call attention for a civilian member who you're not supposed to call attention to. You don't call attention to anyone that was in his rank. And so he transferred this lieutenant to Staten Island. And they were transferring people when they felt disrespected in any way, shape, or form, which was kind of an ego thing, because I never made it a big deal if they didn't call attention, if they're not paying attention. If a cop looks at me and doesn't call attention and I make it behind the desk, I say to the sergeant, maybe you tell the cop to take his head out of his ass. But it's not like I never yelled at anybody. You know, I had the strangest reactions where I get to the front of the desk and they panic and they just salute me. And it's like, all right, yeah, you know, because they don't, you know, they feel like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. There are people that are like that, though. You know, I have Inspector, hear me roar. And, you know, it's a, you know, it's just, so I understand his point. And also what he's being told is that, and again, they get a lot of very good information. What he's being told is that that she is rescinding those transfers. That she wasn't. That she wasn't. She should. Yeah, that she wasn't the one behind the transfers. Which
I have a problem with that, though. Like I agree with totally. I think John brought up a great point. Like like you said, I didn't think of that. Like I didn't think that this was stuff that was being done behind her back. Stuff that maybe was done with Donlin, same thing, right? That Donlin didn't know about, these transfers, everything that was being done, the promotions that Donlin didn't know about. I totally agree. And then that I saw, you know, that, you know, like she said, you know, maybe these transfers are going to be rescinded or whatever. I have a great issue with that, though, because she is the police commissioner. And even if these transfers are sanctioned by Kaz and sanctioned by Shell, and they're going around Tish's back, I have a serious problem. And I know she's much stronger than that. Like she won't put up with that crap. So I think, there should be, she should really step up then at that point if she hasn't already and told them that this isn't going to continue. So I don't know. I don't know if she's not part of it. I mean, it was great input. It was a great thought. I wasn't thinking that at that angle at all. But if it is, Tish needs to, restructure the ship a little bit and make sure it's running straight. And she's, to me, in my opinion, she's strong enough to do that. She's not going to bow down to those two guys. Yeah, you could see by the binder, right? She basically ripped it out of his hand when he was going to hand it off to somebody else. I suspect in that binder was probably everything that had to do with the case. And I suspect that Kaz wanted that binder. Why? Well, so he could go on Newsmax, so he can go on Fox 5, so he can go on Channel 4, NBC News, and he has all the information readily available, or they're quickly going to make copies of it, and then Kaz has everything. And maybe he wasn't given all that information, but him, and I'm sure he got some of it from Shell, and Shell knew what was going on the whole time. You saw him looking back and stuff. He knew what the whole plan was. But yeah, if in fact that would never happen under Ray Kelly.
Oh no,
he would have to know about every one of those transfers. We've spoken about it before, how much he micromanaged, and he knew everything. And I said, that was the point. That was with Kelly, you knew that it was going through that. He knew it was what was being done underneath him and everything else. So. So it's Joe. I think what Joel Ramirez says, all transfers go through her now. She's making the call. So has she been from the beginning? Has she been doing everything from the beginning now, or is she taking it over now? That's the question. Is it gone out of hand? It's a good way to redirect morale, because if it is in fact being done underneath her and sneakily by Shell or by Kaz indirectly, then it's a morale buster. It completely is. And I hope she is making the calls, and that she redirects the ship in the upright position.
Yeah, and again, it's about the excessiveness. So what is it doing to rank and file? People don't want to come to work and deal with it. And like you said, you gave a CD and that was it, right? You didn't transfer people, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And it was the same thing with me. I had people come up to me in my career and say, you gave me my first CD. I'm like, really? I gave you a CD? He goes, yeah, I totally deserved it. Now they're man enough to say, I totally deserved it. Back then they were probably MFing me and saying, Leyson, this, that, and the other thing, that bum, blah, 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 blah. But he's saying, yeah, I was totally wrong about this, that, and the other thing. I didn't even remember I gave you a CD, because you know why? It must have been warranted, right? It must have been warranted. And if it corrected the behavior, which is what discipline is supposed to be for, it's not supposed to be punitive, really. It's supposed to be to correct a behavior, to correct some kind of, attitude or whatever the case may be, or condition, right?
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.